Billionaire discovers heartwarming moment. Black waitress inspires his disabled son to lead an incredible transformation. Jack Hollister stepped out of his luxury car into the chaos of a new life. The taste of opportunity was everywhere, yet his heart felt heavy. At just 4 decades old, he had built an empire from scratch. The gloss of his billionaire status sparkled, yet his 10-year-old son Ethan felt invisible amidst it all. They had moved to the city full of blank stares and disapproving whispers, and Ethan had just endured the worst first day at a new school. 4 eyes. Loser. Jack clenched his jaw at the memory. His boy, with a disability that made him different, was not just hurt, he was crushed. In this bustling urban landscape, Ethan was lost, drowning in loneliness. The weight of fatherhood pressed down hard, like an anchor pulling him underwater. Jack had pencils, computers, and business deals, but when it came to his son Jack felt helpless. As he wandered the streets, searching for comfort, he stumbled upon a diner that oozed warmth. The scent of home-cooked meals wrapped around him like a hug. He pushed through the door, and there she was, Mia, a young waitress with an undeniable sparkle. Her laughter bubbled over the clatter of dishes, filling the air with the sweet sound of resilience. Jack noticed the way she treated everyone with care, but it was the moment she approached Ethan that seized his heart. "Hey there, how about trying one of our chocolate milkshakes?" she asked gently, her voice coaxing a flicker of curiosity in Ethan's eyes. Jack watched as she knelt to his son's level, her smile bright enough to pierce through Ethan's shroud of sadness. In that instant, joy flickered across Ethan's face, revealing a light that Jack had feared was permanently extinguished. It was simple yet profound, and Jack couldn't help but feel a tug in his chest. Here was this woman, juggling responsibilities and family, yet she empowered Ethan in ways Jack never could. Mia's world was a far cry from his gilded life, filled with struggles Jack couldn't fathom. They both lived in different realities, and yet, they shared a bond that was beginning to form right before his eyes. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days turned to weeks as Jack found himself returning to the diner, a safe haven. He watched Mia, often staring in awe as she balanced life with a grace he couldn't comprehend. Yet harmony was a fragile thing. The diner faced looming financial hardship, threatening to shatter the connection that had begun to bloom. Jack's heart raced as he stared out the diner window, grappling with how he could help without overshadowing Mia's own fight. Should he step in, leverage his resources for good, or let the community rally behind her and their dreams? Standing on the brink of a decision, Jack felt the pull of change within him. The air crackled with urgency, his resolve tightening. As the doors swung open, revealing an unexpected guest with the power to alter their fates, Jack braced himself. This choice could change everything and he didn't know if he was ready. The door swung open, and the air filled with anticipation. Jack turned, and his breath caught in his throat. It was Mia's mother, an older woman with tired eyes but a fierce determination that radiated from her. Her presence alone seemed to suck the energy from the room, muffling the sounds of clattering dishes and laughter. "Excuse me, can I talk to you for a moment?" she said to Jack, her voice steady despite the tremor he could see in her hands. Jack nodded, his heart racing. He stepped aside, leading her to a quiet booth in the corner, the diner's buzz retreating to a low murmur. The scent of coffee and bacon mingled in the air, but all he could focus on was the urgency in her gaze. "I know who you are, Mr. Hollister," she began, her tone a mix of respect and desperation. "This diner, it's struggling. Mia's been working here to help pay the bills ever since I lost my job. It's becoming harder to keep it afloat." Jack listened, feeling the urgency in her words. She continued, explaining that the diner had been the heart of the community, a cherished gathering place. The thought of it closing down sent a pang of discomfort through him. He shifted uncomfortably, replaying Mia's vibrant smile and Ethan's shy awakening each time they visited. "Wouldn't it be better if you just invested? You could save this place," she suggested, her voice catching. "But we don't want charity. We want to do this ourselves. We just need a little help." He swallowed hard, a lump forming in his throat. Charity. That word stung more than he expected. He had built a name through hard work and grit. It felt wrong to just throw money at something when passion was at stake. But what if his help meant stability for Mia? What if it brought Ethan friendship and community? Suddenly, the weight of his privilege crashed down on him. Was he supposed to bridge the gap between their worlds, or would he create a divide? He searched for answers in her eyes, parsing through the emotions that reflected the burdens she carried. "I want to help," but the words fell awkwardly between them, heavy with hesitation. "Mr. Hollister," she said, her voice softening, "if you really want to be there for Ethan, show him there's more to life than boardrooms and luxury cars. Let him see the beauty in building something meaningful. And in the process, maybe you'll find your own light too." Her sincerity struck a chord deep within Jack. Maybe she was right. Maybe this was about more than just saving a diner, it was about discovering purpose. For both him and Ethan, Jack felt a ripple of determination swell as he thought about the change he could catalyze. With Mia's mother's words still echoing in his mind, he took a deep breath. It was time to make a choice, to align his heart with his actions. As he leaned back into the booth, the doubt began to lift and clarity replaced it. He needed a plan, a way to involve the community, to make his support a two-way street. He opened his mouth to speak but suddenly felt a hand on his shoulder. "Dad?" It was Ethan, his eyes wide. "Can we get a milkshake?" Jack looked at his son, at the glimmer of hope in his face. In that moment, everything shifted. The worries of the future faded, and he realized the true essence of strength. It didn't come from wealth, it came from connection, courage, and nurturing the future. With renewed resolve, Jack turned back to Mia's mother. "Let us do this together." As she smiled, filling the space with warmth, the door swung open again, and this time it wasn't just a guest, but a community's spirit weaving its way in. Jack felt the stirrings of something monumental beginning, but he couldn't shake the feeling that bigger challenges lay ahead. Would this decision forge a new beginning or lead them all into uncharted waters? The answer loomed just around the corner. Jack's heart raced as he shared a moment of understanding with Mia's mother. The diner felt alive, brighter somehow, as though their conversation had ignited a spark that was just waiting to blaze. Ethan stood beside him, wide-eyed and hopeful, the remnants of childhood innocence shining through. Those sparkly eyes, filled with excitement over a simple milkshake, pulled Jack back into focus. It amazed him how effortless it was for kids to find joy in the little things, while adults often got tangled in complexities. "Sure, buddy." Jack grinned, ruffling Ethan's hair. He turned back to Mia's mother. "Let us brainstorm how we can bring some life back to this place." An idea flickered in his mind. They could host community events, local musicians could play, and families could come for game nights. It would be the sort of inviting atmosphere that the diner once thrived in. Jack's thoughts raced, contemplating how quickly he could rally resources and grab attention. He had the connections, now he just needed the will. Music nights, fundraisers, even cooking classes, Jack mused aloud, his voice gaining momentum. He could almost see it all taking shape in front of him. "I could front the initial costs, but it needs to feel like a community effort." Mia's mother nodded slowly, a tentative hope dawning on her expression. "That could work. But we need more than just ideas, Jack. We'll need support from our regulars. They have to feel it's their diner too. I'll talk to my team. We can help raise awareness, maybe even buy local produce to make everything fresh." It'll encourage others to come. Jack felt a rush of excitement at the prospect of creating something lasting and meaningful. The shake of his focus made him realize how much he missed genuine connection, the kind that breathed life into a community. Jack felt Ethan tugging gently at his sleeve. "Dad, can we go pick a flavor for my milkshake?" "Absolutely, let us go." Jack chuckled, grateful for the infectious energy of his son. As they approached the counter, smells of grilled food filled the air, and he could hear laughter mixing with the clattering of silverware. As Ethan excitedly scanned the milkshake options, Jack sneaked a glance around the diner. Familiar faces filled the booths, and the warmth radiating from their interactions reminded him why this place mattered. "I'll go talk to Mia," Jack said, glancing at the young waitress busy at work, wiping down a table. The sight of her spurred a wave of inspiration. Maybe she had the enthusiasm and ideas they needed to engage everybody. Mia looked up just as Jack approached. Her smile was an instant lift, magnetic even. "Hey, Mr. Hollister. What brings you here?" "I was hoping we could brainstorm some ideas for the diner," Jack said, his tone serious but inviting. "I want to help you all make it thrive." Mia's face lit up with surprise, and Jack couldn't help but notice the grateful glimmer in her eyes. She leaned against the counter, her eagerness evident. "Really? That would be amazing. I've always wanted to do something special here." "I can feel the passion in this place," Jack replied, leaning in closer. "And I think together we can make it sparkle again." Mia nodded enthusiastically, and Jack's body hummed with exhilaration. Suddenly, it all felt possible. They could change more than just a diner, they could change lives. But as they spoke, a voice broke in, panic tightening the atmosphere around them. "Mia, did you hear about the storm? They say it could hit tonight." Jack's gaze darted to the source of the dread, a man clutching a phone. The cozy diner suddenly tensed, reality crashing back in as the impending storm loomed. Jack's heart began to pound. Would their plans survive, or would disaster strike before they could even begin? The future felt suspended, a fragile thread, and just like that, Jack knew he had to prepare for whatever lay ahead. How would they weather the storm literally and figuratively? Time would tell, but he wasn't backing down. Jack's pulse quickened as the weight of uncertainty settled over the diner. The manicured chaos of laughter and clinking plates wilted to a murmur. An unseen cloud hovered just outside the door, threatening to cast a shadow over their budding plans. "We need to act fast," Mia said, her voice steady but edged with urgency. "If we're going to have events, we should brainstorm some flyers tonight. Maybe we can make a big announcement before the storm actually hits." "Great idea," Jack replied, eager for a way to shift the focus. He could see Ethan, wide-eyed and still bouncing from the milkshake excitement, unaware of the tension cracking through the atmosphere. As they gathered some notepads and pens from the counter, the diner's regulars exchanged worried glances. Jack's heart twinged at the thought of their familiar routines being interrupted. He looked at Mia, whose determination seemed contagious. "Let us not let this storm take away our hope. Together, we can fight it." Together, they sketched out plans for themed nights, wine Wednesdays, family Fridays, and even a small farmer's market on the weekends. The ideas flowed, each one brighter than the last, igniting laughter and excitement. Even Ethan chimed in, suggesting a dress like your favorite food day that made Mia chuckle. "Now that's a night I want to see." Mia laughed, her mood shifting. Jack felt the warmth return, like sunlight pushing through the clouds. But outside, the winds began whispering a different story. The sky darkened, and the air charged with impending rain. As they finalized the details, Jack shot glances toward the door, reconsidering the man's warning. "Maybe we should start gathering supplies for everyone close by. The storm might be really bad, and we want to make sure no one gets caught unprepared," he said, the gravity of the situation starting to settle in. "Excellent thought," Mia replied with a nod. I can ask my mom if she can whip up some sandwiches. They can grab them on their way out if they need to. Jack's admiration for Mia grew. She embodied the spirit of the community he longed to revive. He shared this thought with her, which brought a flush to her cheeks. Thank you, but I couldn't do this alone. It's everyone's diner, remember? A sudden gust of wind slammed against the doors, making them rattle. The sound was stark enough to pull everyone's attention. Faces turned towards the windows, where dark clouds gathered ominously, swirling like a warning. Jack felt the urge to calm the growing anxiety. Let us gather everyone here, tell them our plans, and assure them we're in this together. If we can keep the spirit alive, no storm can crush it. Mia smiled wide, and her eyes lit up like the neon diner sign. Yeah. Let us show them what this place really means. A sense of camaraderie overtook the diner, and as Mia moved to call the regulars, Jack realized just how much they were on the brink of transformation. But before he could fully savor the moment, a flash of lightning split the sky, followed by a deafening roar of thunder. A heavy dread settled in the pit of Jack's stomach. Time was of the essence. Mia, we need to move. Let us start getting the word out now. As the first raindrops began to pelt against the windows, Jack turned to Ethan. Come on, buddy. Let us make sure everyone knows they're not alone in this. They rushed to spread the word, fully aware that a storm was brewing both outside and within the heart of their beloved diner. But amid the chaos, an unexpected revelation flickered in Jack's mind. Sometimes, storms bring not just destruction but also a path to renewal. How would they rally the community against the storm? Would this be the moment that solidified their bond, or would they falter under the weight of nature's fury? Jack dashed outside. The rain was picking up, turning into a full-blown downpour, as if the skies themselves were echoing the tension brewing inside the diner. He caught sight of Mrs. Thompson, one of their elder regulars, struggling to get her umbrella open. The wind whipped it around like a leaf. He rushed over, lending a steady hand to her. Let me help you with that, Mrs. T. He called over the howling wind. The elderly woman looked up, her face lined with worry. Jack, dear. I can't go out in this. It's okay. We're preparing for all of us to hunker down in the diner. You don't have to go anywhere. He managed to get the umbrella open and held it steady while she clung to her purse. Let us get you inside. As they made their way back, Jack could see the already bustling diner. People were coming in from the storm, faces marked with concern and anticipation. Mia had already started gathering everyone around, using her enthusiasm to push back the shadows creeping in. Everyone. She announced, her voice carrying over the noise. We're having a meeting. Right here, right now. There's a storm coming, but we will face it together. Laughter erupted in the crowd. It was contagious. Jack felt it bounce off the walls, filling the air with warmth. He squeezed into the circle as Mia outlined their plans. They needed to create a safe space, to show the community that in times of trouble, they were a family. Ethan's enthusiasm didn't wane. Can we also play games? His eyes sparkled, reminding Jack that joy could sprout even under the threat of a storm. Absolutely. We'll turn this diner into a safe haven, Mia declared. Maybe karaoke? Who's up for a diner idol contest? The chatter of ideas filled the room, and the tension began to melt away. Jack watched the faces around him light up, buoyed by the assurance that they were coming together to build something positive despite the pounding rain. Just then, a loud crack of thunder sent a ripple of unease through the group. Jack's heart raced, instinctively looking outside as torrential rain lashed against the windows. It felt like a battle was raging out there, but inside, a different kind of fight was unfolding, one of resilience, community, and hope. Mia. Jack called over the din. We need to organize supplies. What do we have? Who can help? I'll handle the sandwiches. Mia replied without hesitation. And let us get some flashlights ready in case the power goes out. Count me in, Jack said, his head racing with what needed to be done. He turned to the group. Who else can help with supplies? Hands shot up across the room. Everyone was eager to contribute, determined to not let fear dictate their evening. As they organized themselves, laughter punctuated the storm's roar outside. Jack marveled at the transformation taking place right in front of him. This was more than a diner, it was a hub of hope, a lighthouse in the storm. Ethan's voice broke through the chatter. Can I sing a song? Let us hear it. Mia encouraged him, her own excitement reflected in the eyes of everyone around. Ethan took center stage, singing a sweet little tune about friendship, his small voice a soft melody against the chaotic backdrop. Jack felt his heart swell. In that moment, he knew they were not just weathering the storm, they were rising above it. Sometimes all it takes is a little light in the darkness to create something beautiful. But as the wind howled outside, Jack couldn't shake a lingering thought. It wasn't just a storm they were fighting. Everyone, Jack started, his voice steady. Let us promise each other we'll stick together through this. Because as strong as the storm is, we're stronger. Thunder rumbled again, but this time, it was more than a sound outside, it resonated as a challenge. With hope in their hearts, they prepared to face whatever came next. But as the winds howled and the storm reached its peak, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. What awaited them outside the diner? Would the power of their community be enough to protect them from the chaos that loomed ahead? As the thunder pealed again, the sounds of laughter and singing filled the diner, ringing like pure joy against the storm's fury. Jack watched as Ethan finished his song, the boy's smile bright enough to chase away shadows even on the darkest night. Cheers erupted, and Mia clasped Ethan's shoulders, her eyes gleaming with pride. That was fantastic, buddy. She exclaimed, beaming at the small boy who, in that moment, was bigger than the storm outside. Jack let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. This was the spirit he cared for, the spirit that could overcome any tempest thrown their way. Still, a part of him remained anxious, the ominous wind whispering promises of uncertainty. Okay, he said, shaking off his worries for the moment. What else can we do? We need to keep spirits high and everyone entertained while the storm gets worse. Trivia. A voice called out from the back. It was Sam, one of the regulars known for his encyclopedic knowledge of pop culture. Great idea. Mia said, rallying the crowd. Who's in for trivia? Hands shot up, along with excited chatter. Jack couldn't help but smile at the contagious energy. They were all in this together, finding ways to brighten the darkest of times. He felt a surge of gratitude for this makeshift family they had become, bound by the simple act of gathering in that warm diner. Minutes became hours as the storm raged outside, turning into a relentless downpour that lashed against windows, but inside, the diner stayed alive with laughter and cheers. Jack looked around, noticing how everyone had chipped in. There were plates of sandwiches stacked high and freshly baked cookies filling the air with sweetness. It felt like a festival in the face of adversity. Mia stepped up to Jack, a playful glint in her eye. I need a partner for trivia. You game? You bet. Jack replied, ready to dive into the chaos of questions and answers. He couldn't ignore the small spark of excitement that ignited within him. The seriousness of the storm outside faded as they became swept up in trivia about movies and songs. As the rounds went on, Jack felt weight lift off his shoulders. Each correct answer brought cheers and playful banter, and the storm's grasp on their hearts loosened just a little more. It wasn't long before they reached the final round, and the energy was electric. Okay, last question. Sam shouted, his voice echoing off the diner walls. Which movie features a character who finds love in a diner? Jack smirked, the answer evident. It's When Harry Met Sally. He hollered, getting high fives from Mia. Correct. Well done. Sam called out. The room burst into enthusiastic applause. Even Mrs. Thompson, normally so reserved, clapped her hands with joy. But just as they were riding the high of victory, the lights flickered ominously, and the room plunged into gloom. A collective gasp echoed, panic rising in the air. Jack's heart sank. It was as if the storm had clamped down its jaws tighter, threatening to suffocate the light they had created inside. "Stay calm. Stay together," Mia called out, her voice guiding like a beacon. "Let us get those flashlights." Jack rushed toward the kitchen, his mind racing. They had prepared for this, yet he felt a tickle of fear creeping into his stomach. In the darkness, a commotion erupted, and Jack heard gasps and murmurs ripple through the crowd. The storm's roar intensified, making their laughter feel fragile, like a tiny flicker of a candle in a howling wind. As he emerged with a flashlight, Jack saw faces illuminated in the soft beam, revealing worry and uncertainty etched in their expressions. But he also saw determination, the kind that made hope shine through the cracks of fear. "Remember our promise?" he implored, strong and steady. "We're stronger together." But just then, a crash deafening and abrupt sounded from outside, drowning out his words and sending new waves of panic through the diner. Jack's heart raced. What could that have been? The storm was just beginning to reveal its might, and so were the true challenges that lay ahead. The crash reverberated through the diner, a jarring reminder of just how fierce the storm had become. Jack flinched, his grip tightening around the flashlight, illuminating anxious faces and startled expressions. Summer storms often baffled him, they swung from calm to chaos in mere moments, just as life did. "What was that?" whispered Ethan, his petite form trembling slightly. His earlier exuberance had vanished, replaced by a childlike fear that gripped his heart. "Just the wind, buddy," Mia said, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. She glanced around, gauging the room. Jack could see the unease ripple like a current, but he held firm. This was his family, chosen or not. They had to come together. "Everyone, stay put," he said, taking a deep breath. "I'll check it out." "Jack, wait," Mia started, but he was already moving toward the door. The gusts howled outside as he stepped into the night. The air was frigid, full of a palpable energy, a far cry from the warmth inside the diner. Rain pelted him, sticking his clothes to his skin. He squinted against the downpour, searching for the source of the noise. A few feet away, he spotted a fallen tree branch had crashed down onto the diner's awning, partially blocking the entrance. Relief washed over him. It was a temporary inconvenience, not a catastrophe. Yet, behind him, he could hear the chatter inside escalating, nerves reaching a boiling point. "Okay, nothing serious," he shouted back, though he didn't feel entirely confident. "Just a branch. But will the power come back on?" Mrs. Thompson asked from the darkness, her voice trembling. Jack hurried back in, heart racing, determined to keep fear at bay. "I think so. It looks like the wind knocked it down and not the lines. Just a momentary hitch. Thank heavens." But as a shiver ran down his spine, he couldn't shake off the sense of dread that clung to him. They were all relying on him to lead, to keep them secure, and the storm showed no signs of easing. With the flashlight beam flickering over their faces, Jack felt a moment of connection with each person. This was more than a storm. It was a challenge, a test of their spirit. He could be their lighthouse. "Let us light some candles," he proposed. "Who's good at making shadow puppets? We can turn this into story time." Little Eli, a shy girl with a mop of curls, brightened at the suggestion. "I can." She beamed, her timid nature melting under the warm glow of possibility. "Let us do it," Mia said, her spirit igniting anew. The phase shift in the room was almost tangible. As candles flickered to life one by one, they created a cozy glow, and Jack watched hope seep back in. The crowd shifted, laughter returning as Eli began weaving tales in the shadows, her tiny fingers mimicking animals and fantastical creatures. For every flick of the flame, Jack felt weight lift from his chest. They were okay, their spirit transforming the fear into something beautiful. Just as Jack settled into the moment, lost in the glow of laughter, a crash of thunder rolled closer than before. The lights flickered once more, the gusty howls now punctuated by what sounded like something larger, something closer. "I think the storm might be getting worse," someone murmured. Jack noticed anxious eyes darting to the door, uneasiness creeping back in. "Let us stay strong. Remember our promise?" he said, rallying once again. "Together." But as shadows danced and smiled around whatever fear dared to loom, Jack could feel it deep within him, the urge to let their laughter shake the very foundations of the storm. And yet, with the next roar of thunder, he couldn't help but wonder what other tests this tempest would bring. Before he could speak again, the loudest crack yet rocked the diner, vibrations singing through the walls. And just then, something shifted. An emergency alert from a nearby radio blared to life, slicing through their sanctuary of warmth. Jack's heart raced, wondering what other challenges this storm would uncover, and who would emerge stronger in the end. The emergency alert echoed around the diner, a stark contrast to the laughter that had just filled the room. Jack felt the hairs on the back of his neck rise. He could sense the atmosphere shift, the warmth of hope being overshadowed by a looming darkness. Everyone turned toward the crackling radio, its words barely decipherable against the growing sound of the storm outside. "High winds, flooding expected, please remain in a safe location." What did that mean for them? The diner was supposed to be their safe haven, a place where they could all escape from their lives, at least for a while. Jack's throat tightened as he looked around at the worried faces, Ethan still trembling, Mia biting her lip, little Eli's wide eyes filled with uncertainty. They were all counting on him. "Hey, let us not panic," he said, forcing a calmness into his voice. "We're safe here. We have each other." But as another furious blast of thunder cascaded through the diner, Jack felt the fabric of that bravery beginning to fray. The storm was starting to feel personal, as though it viewed them as tiny pawns in its chaotic game. "Do you think we should check the windows?" Mia suggested, her voice trembling slightly. "There may be flooding. We might need to brace them," someone else chimed in hesitantly. "No," Jack said, shaking his head. "Let us keep everything as it is for now. Too many movements might just stir things up." He caught Mia's eye, his look pleading for her support. She nodded, though Jack could see the unease etched on her face. "Maybe we could play a game instead?" suggested Eli, her voice small yet brave. It was a surprise to Jack how the girl, often shy and quiet, was the one to spark this new idea. "Great suggestion, Eli," Jack exclaimed, hoping to bolster her confidence further. "How about we play 20 questions? It'll keep our minds off the storm." As the game began, Jack felt the pressure ease slightly. Each question transitioned them from fear to friendly competition. They found themselves laughing again, a well-earned reprieve from the chaos outside, but then another crash resonated, louder than the rest, as a window rattled violently. Jack and Mia exchanged worried glances, the laughter faltering for a moment. "What was that?" Ethan murmured, inching closer to Mia. "It's just the wind," Jack cried out, trying to mask his own anxiety. He felt the weight of the world on him, trying to be the pillar of strength they all needed. But deep down, he wasn't so sure. Suddenly, there was another interruption. The emergency radio crackled fiercely before the voice came through once more, this time more urgent. "Residents are advised to move to higher ground. Severe flooding and strong tornado activity reported in the vicinity." Panic surged in the diner. Jack's heart raced. "We need to stay calm," he called loudly, raising his voice above the chatter spiraling around him. "We're going to be okay. Let us just keep playing the game." Yet as the storm's roar grew in intensity, so did the walls of fear beginning to close in. Were they truly safe? What if they had to evacuate? For Jack, it was becoming a fight to keep hope alive. Then, the lights flickered again, plunging them momentarily into darkness. All that remained was the flickering glow of their candles and the collective breath held in the air. As fear gripped the room, little Eli took a deep breath and spoke, "If we're together, we can face anything, right?" Her words resonated with Jack, sparking another flame of hope within him. It was almost uncanny how such a small voice could drown out the storm outside. "Exactly!" Jack shouted, feeling a rush of determination. "We will face it together." But before they could gather the confidence they needed, the diner quaked as another crash of thunder washed over them. This time, it felt like more than just a sound. It felt ominous, like the storm had decided it was just beginning. Jack's pulse hammered in his ears as he wrestled with a feeling that something more would soon shake their little sanctuary. He could no longer ignore the storm brewing inside him. They were not just fighting the elements outside, they were fighting something deeper, something that could change them all forever. As he locked eyes with Mia, he couldn't help but wonder what kind of strength they would all need to find in themselves, and if they would survive not just the storm, but this moment of reckoning. Jack's heart pounded in his chest as the storm's fury intensified. The diner felt smaller, the walls inching in, threatening to swallow them whole. He glanced around again, desperation creeping back as he weighed each worried expression. Ethan was now clutching Mia's arm, her face pale as she tried to comfort him, but Jack could see the fear mirrored in her own eyes. "Play the game," Jack whispered to himself, clutching the table's edge. The something he sensed lurking beyond their fragile bubble was not just the storm. Very quietly, he feared it was bigger than the rain and wind outside. "We can do this." "All right, who's got a question?" he called out, forcing a smile as if it could hold back the storm. Little Eli raised her hand eagerly, her innocence shining through the shadows. "What's your favorite thing about being here?" Eli asked, her voice steady despite the chaos. Jack took a deep breath, buying himself time. "Honestly? It's all of you," he replied earnestly, glancing at each person one by one: Mia, Ethan, little Eli, even the grumpy cook who had just come out of the kitchen. "Everyone here makes this diner feel like home." Eli beamed, a light breaking through their collective dread. "What about you, Mia?" she asked, pointing at her. Mia hesitated, glancing at Jack, who nodded encouragingly. "I love how we always find a reason to smile together," she said finally, her voice gaining strength. "Even when it feels impossible." Jack felt a flicker of hope. Some part of him believed that as long as they could share little truths in this moment, they could weather through anything. It was as if each small revelation wove an invisible shield around them. Suddenly, with a terrifying bang, a window shattered under the relentless pressure of wind. The sound silenced their laughter, replaced by a visceral gasp echoing through the diner. Jack jumped to his feet, heart racing, eyes darting toward the broken glass glimmering dangerously. "Everyone stay calm," he shouted, taking a few steps toward the dining area. The chairs scraped against the floor as the others instinctively huddled closer. Mia's voice trembled as she tugged on his sleeve. "What do we do now?" "I don't know," he admitted, his confidence wavering. But he was cut short by a loud creak reverberating above them, as if the very structure of the diner was being challenged. "Is the roof coming down?" Ethan cried out, dread overtaking him. "No!" Jack shouted back, more forcefully than he meant. "We have to stick together. Let us think, okay?" He clenched his fists, summoning all the strength he could muster. "We can't let fear control us. The more we panic, the worse it gets." But even as he spoke, he could hear whispers of doubt creeping in around them. What if this was the beginning of something they couldn't handle? Little Eli took a bold step forward, determination in her eyes. "I have an idea. Why don't we make a plan? Keep talking. What if we create a circle? Share stories about things we like. About what we'll do after the storm. Jack stared at her, touched by her resilience. "I love that idea, Eli," he said softly, choosing to believe. "Let us do it." As they all formed a tight circle around their flickering candles, sharing snippets of their lives, Jack observed the fear loosening its grip on them, bit by bit. Stories flowed, laughter returned, reminding them of better times, of normalcy, of hope, but just as they seemed to find their light, a deep rumble shook the diner, alerting them that the storm was indeed not done with them yet. Jack's heart raced again, this time with a sinking realization. Was this temporary calm merely the eye before the storm? His eyes met Mia's again, both of them silently questioning how far they could go together. What more could they uncover within themselves, and what else would come crashing down? Would this storm truly bring them together, or tear them apart? As the winds howled outside, threatening once again to drown out their voices, Jack felt a chilling certainty this was only the beginning. The storm raged on, a relentless force battering the diner's walls, yet inside, an unexpected calm settled over the small group huddled together. Jack worked to focus on the warmth around him, on the flickering candlelight illuminating the worried faces of those who had become family to him in a matter of hours. "Let us keep going. Eli, how about you start us off?" Jack encouraged, his pulse managing to steady even as the rain battered fiercely against the windows. Little Eli, a brave spark hidden beneath her curls, beamed as she spoke. "I can't wait to eat all the pancakes after this. But I'd also like to go strawberry picking with my family, and I want to make a giant pie." The room erupted with laughter, enchantment pushing away their lingering fears. "I'd love to taste that pie," Mia complimented, her eyes glistening with warmth. "I think we should have a berry day at the diner, complete with pancakes." They passed the light around the circle, sharing small dreams and joyful memories. Every story shared was another brick building their sanctuary against the storm, reinforcing the bonds of their newfound community. Even Jack found himself letting go of his fear, reveling in the glow of togetherness. But each time a crash of thunder broke the serenity, reality returned, a reminder that nature's chaos was all around them. Jack felt the tension wrestle within, the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Yet slowly something else shifted inside him, determination. He turned to Mia, and the intensity of their shared struggle spoke volumes. "You know," he began quietly, "I used to think strength came from wealth, from building my empire. But this feels different." "That's because it is," Mia replied softly, her eyes piercing through the storm outside. "We're building something real here. Something no amount of money can secure." Before Jack could respond, another crash echoed from outside, more potent than the rest. The chatter inside faltered, each face signaling the unspoken fear shared among them. The storm was more than a backdrop, it was an ever-looming presence threatening to extinguish the flame they had ignited inside the diner. Frantic whispers filled the air. Jack could sense panic bubbling just beneath the surface. "Okay, hold on." He raised his hands, looking into the eyes of every person gathered. "I know it's scary, but we've survived so far. There's something magical about this space we all share." A hesitant murmur of agreement followed. "We've weathered this storm together, and that is what matters. Stay connected. Talk to one another," he urged, heart pounding. As if to evoke camaraderie, the lights flickered back on, briefly bathing the diner in bright relief. The moment chased shadows away, pulling cheers from the crowd, but just as hope surged, it faded again with the next crack of thunder. The lights flashed out once more, plunging them back into dimness. The room shook, but something remarkable happened. The tension didn't spike. Instead, a sense of purpose blossomed. "Now's our time to shine, each and every one of us," Jack shouted, feeling the musty air grow vibrant with conviction. "Who can help me push the tables together? Let us create a cozy meeting space in case the wind breaks anything." "Great idea," Mia chimed, instilling order amid chaos. Everyone leaped into action, working together, hands moving. They reconfigured the space, stacking chairs against walls while keeping candle flames dancing. Jack felt the energy shift. It was electric like before a thrilling game. In that effort, Jack sensed the transformation. They were building something not just for survival, but for something meaningful that transcended the chaos of the storm outside. They were creating the sanctuary every community needs, where heart and spirit flourish together. As they settled back into the makeshift living room, a hush fell over them. Jack watched as Ethan and Eli shared giggles, their friendship blossoming even amongst the raging tempest. Jack's heart swelled. Those two small souls had stumbled across the purest magic, and it didn't matter what else lay outside. "Let us finish that game," Mia suggested, her smile radiant. "We need the fun now more than ever." And just like that, laughter echoed around them again, infusing warmth and revitalizing their spirits. As questions bounced back and forth amid thunderous roars, Jack felt his fears fade into the background, as if they had been washed away by the very rain that threatened to break them. Instead, he stood firm. Together, they could withstand anything. "Okay, your turn, Mia," Jack prompted, looking right into her eyes, wishing they could freeze this moment forever, a resolve solidified in heart and spirit. "What do I love most about this diner?" she pondered out loud, before smiling softly. "The people here. It's our little family." "Family," Jack echoed on a sigh as the recognized truth washed over him. For the first time, the storm felt like a blessing, a catalyst pushing them closer to a love he never imagined he could find, love sown through resilience and connection. As the games continued and the storm raged against the diner, Jack knew this bond they had formed would outlast any tempest. They weren't just weathering the storm, they were transforming into something powerful and alive, and even as lightning sliced through the sky and rain beat down outside, inside that diner, a family flourished, destined to rise above. Jack took a deep breath, feeling at peace. Whatever awaited them beyond those windows, he would face it with the people he loved most. Now was the time to stand tall. Together, they would shine. So, don't just stand by. Hit that subscribe button immediately so you won't miss the next exclusive transformations. Leave a like now to show your support for this incredible community. Comment down below with your thoughts, feelings, and reactions to this ending. And for those friends who need to feel this inspiration, share this video with at least 5 of them right now. Don't wait not even one more second to spread the love. Only true fans understand how vital these actions are in lifting us all up together.